Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last talk in this series of Meet the Women of Formula One. Sorry for hijacking the start of this call. If you don't know me already, I'm Charisma, and I will not be your host for tonight. I just wanted to jump in and just say a couple of big thank yous. Firstly, to all of my amazing colleagues who have donated their time to talk over this past month and share their experiences. Also to Adrian Healy, who's in our HR team, and also to Lucy Anthony, who you'll be hearing from tonight, for all of your help and support in arranging these talks. To Motorsport UK, in particular, Jenny Morse and Claire Kirkpatrick. They have been essential in bringing this together, so thank you guys so much for that. And just a shout out to my fellow diversity and inclusion champions who have also been a huge part in making these all happen. Before I hand over to LA Wilshaw, who will be your host for this evening, I just wanted to also say a big thank you to LA, to the other hosts as well, who have taken part and donated their time to host these sessions. It's been incredible, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you all. So without further ado, I will hand over to LA. And to everyone that is tuning in around the world, I really hope that you've benefited from these sessions. I hope you found them insightful, and I really hope that you've enjoyed them. So thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy this last session. LA, over to you.
Thank you so much, Charisma. Okay, well, welcome to this final evening with. Very sad to say it's the final one, but we are hoping that there may be more in the future, for sure. This has been your opportunity to meet the women who work for Formula One, and it's been brought to you by Formula One, Motorsport UK, Girls on Track UK. So there will be all these links posted in the chat, beginning at the end, so you can connect to everything. You connect to everybody that's been part of this. And my guests this evening are Alexa Quintin, who is the head of media and communications at Formula 2 and Formula 3. So good evening, Alexa, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining.
And we also have Lucy Anthony, who is the head of commercial development and hospitality at Formula 1. Hi, Lucy. Oh, Lucy, you're on mute. Lucy, you're on mute. Oh, that's the first time I've said that. That's actually the first time I've said it.
I just thought we needed to have one session where somebody was on mute.
I need the t-shirt. I need the t-shirt now. You're on mute. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
So, right, without you've thrown me now. Where am I?
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, Lucy. No bother. Lucy's also been part-time behind the scenes of this as well. So Lucy's not just a guest tonight, but she's been pivotal to all of these meetings. So thank you, Lucy. A bit of housekeeping for you. We are recording these sessions. If you're not comfortable, you can switch your camera off, or we don't want to lose you. We want to keep you. But what I would like to say is turn your camera on. You know, we want to see you, see all these names every time we switch on, and we want to see your beautiful faces. Look, you can see ours, so let's see yours. What else are we doing? We're muting you. Yes, we're so sorry. We want to hear from every single one of you, but we just can't. So we're just listening to our guests tonight, Alexa and Lucy. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, pop it in the chat, which is we'll be viewing that throughout and trying to answer as many as we can. Put your screen on speaker view, so then you can see us a little bit more closely. And don't forget, at the end of all of this, there will be a survey sent out. It'll only take a few minutes. Don't roll your eyes at me. What we really want to do is get some really great feedback, because we really would like to do this kind of collaboration again. So the more positive feedback we have, the more chance we have of doing this again. So thank you to the viewers. Now, at the minute, I've actually got you all on gallery view, because I do want to shout out a few people, if that's okay, very briefly, before we make a proper start. And we have had, whether you're here for the first time tonight, welcome, or whether you have been a part of this all the way along with us. We've had Graham, your backgrounds have been absolutely amazing, and I love the tropical beach. We've had Patrick, we've had Annette, we've had the two Chloes, the young Chloe, who's still at high school, and this girl, she knows that she wants to work in motorsport one day. Good on you, Chloe, keep going. We've had the two Sophias. Who else have we had? And we've had Naomi as well. There you go. I can see you. Yeah, fantastic. Right. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a shout out, and I hope that was okay. I hope you didn't mind. So without further ado, we are going to go to our guests, and we're going to go to Alexa first. And Alexa, you are going to tell us all about your role and what you do for Formula 2 and for Formula 3.
Well, first of all, I would like to say bon appetit to Alice Watson, because I see that you're eating. So bon appetit. It's fine. You can. I think it's very cute. So yeah, I'm head of communications for Formula 2 and Formula 3. So in this series of webinars, I'm a little bit of the oddity because I am not working in Formula 1 per se, but I'm working for Formula 1. In the sense that F2 and F3 are two championships, two platforms that are part of the road to F1 and the FIA pyramid to clarify the path for young drivers from go-kart to F1. So you have a dream as a driver, you have some skills and talents, but sometimes to go from go-karts to your dream, to reach your dream, to Formula 1, it wasn't exactly as clear as it should be. So it was clarified in 2017 when the FIA and us, the promoters from the GP2 series, merged to form the FIA Formula 2 Championship and then the FIA Formula 3 Championship. My role as such is to promote both championships and to raise the driver's profile so that even when they do get to Formula 1, F1 fans do not get to see a new driver arriving and thinking, okay, who's the kid? What has he done before? So we're trying to really tell a story, build their profile so that the fan base exists prior to going to Formula 1. And F2 and F3 running alongside Formula 1 during Formula 1 weekends is a big part of the experience for the fans when they go either to the races or watching Formula 1 on F1 TV or on TV in general. So this is what I do very briefly.
And we're going to shoot to Lucy and just ask you, Lucy, to give us a general overview of your role as well.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm head of commercial development for the hospitality department. Before I go any further, I'm just going to let you all know that I'm really nervous. So you're just going to have to bear with me for, I think, the first 10 minutes while I kind of stutter my way through this. So I just thought I'd give you the heads up. Hopefully it'll make me less nervous, but I don't think so. So yeah, I'm head of commercial development for the hospitality department. The hospitality department is best known as the Paddock Club. So I think that's what I'll keep referring it to. And I thought it would be a good idea just to give you a little bit of an overview of what the Paddock Club is. So the Paddock Club is our most premium and prestigious hospitality offering within Formula 1. There's many reasons why, but I think for me, one of the main reasons is its location. So I thought a good way to kind of explain it was that if you all imagine yourself in the rooms that you're in, if you imagine that you're in the Paddock Club, so welcome to the Paddock Club, but the location is the room that you're in, you are directly above the Formula 1 garages. So let's say, for example, you're above the McLaren garage. So here we are, we're in the Paddock Club. If you go to the left-hand side of your room and open the door or the window, you will see the paddock. So you'll see all of the technical and the engineering motorhomes, the paddock, the hospitality motorhomes, and I think you all know the paddock as well. The teams are, so the engineers and mechanics, drivers, all the media and broadcasters. So that's the paddock. Come back into the Paddock Club, quick drink. To the other side, if you look over or open that window and have a little look down, you are directly above the pit lane. So the pit lane, as I'm sure you're all aware, is the entrance and exit to the garages. And then opposite that, you have the starting grid and the track to the first corner. So that's kind of the location of the Paddock Club. Who comes? I would say the majority of the guests are probably from the teams. So the teams then invite their partners and sponsors. They host, let's say, in a private lounge. They're directly above their garage. The guests then get to see a bird's eye view pit stop, which is one of the most incredible experiences you can witness, in my opinion. They can take their guests down into the paddock. They can do a pit lane walk, so they can go in front of all of the garages. So yeah, Formula One teams, global partners, that's where they will host, and our sponsors where they will host their guests. And then also independent and individual clients. So on top of that, there's many experiences. I can't go through all of them, but the drivers come up to have interviews. There's live music, incredible food and drink, lots and lots. So that's a very brief explanation of the Paddock Club. Just going to take a drink. One sec.
Yeah, I mean,
shaky.
I was going to ask you more in depth about, who your guests are, and you have explained a little bit about who they might be.
Yeah, so it's a real mix of kind of guests, but mainly from the teams, sponsors, and then kind of break them down into three. Race promotions bring a lot of guests as well, and then independent and individual guests.
Now,
about my role.
How much experience of that do you actually have? Because you haven't been in the role for very long, have you?
No, I haven't. So I joined Formula One a year and a half ago. Oh, just over. So I joined in 2019, which was a new role. So just to kind of explain a little bit about the commercial development side. In short, it's business development. So it's looking at existing and new opportunities for business development in partnerships within the Paddock Club. And yeah, I joined in 2019. I did half a season, and then unfortunately, as we all know, the global pandemic hit, and the hospitality department was hit quite hard, not just ours, worldwide. But from that, I now work on a new product. So I developed a new product with a new partner in the digital platform, which is something we thought we would never kind of really venture into, but amazing what can come out of these things. And we developed a new product called the Virtual Paddock Club, which is like a virtual experience with the Power Partners Zoom. And since then, that's what I have mainly been working on. But yeah, you're right, Louisa. I've been working for F1 for a year and a half, but before that, I've been working within Formula One for 15 years. So I worked for an event agency before that. So a long time.
Yeah, we'll go more into depth about your beginnings and your history in a little while, because there's a keen interest on how all of you ladies sort of started out. So we'll touch over that a little bit later. So Alexa, you'd started sort of describe Formula 2 and Formula 3, and you touched a little bit about your role. So if you can just expand a little bit on that, and perhaps what you might do when the live races are on.
How can I explain? Because there's a lot of things to do, little things, big things, and I think that the most important job is the preparation prior to going to the race weekends, because at a race weekend, there's a timetable, so that's fixed, and you cannot move from this. So there are things that need to be done at certain times, but at the same time, it's such a very busy environment, ever evolving, and you don't know what's going to happen on the track that could actually challenge you in terms of what you have to produce. It means that preparation is completely key prior to going to the races. You have to prepare for interviews, you have to prepare for communication tools that you need to provide the media with. You have to ensure that everyone knows where to go and at what time they need to go. For instance, if you have organized an interview with a driver and either my team to do a feature on our website, or with with the media, they need to know exactly at what time where to go, because sometimes it's not exactly in front of their garages. It can be somewhere else. If we're sending one of the drivers to the Paddock Club, hi Lucy, to be actually a guest at the Paddock Club, then we need to ensure with Lucy and the team of the Paddock Club where the drivers need to be picked up, at what time they need to be picked up, how long they're going to stay at the Paddock Club, and how they're going to come back from the Paddock Club. So a lot of it is about preparing before going to the races. Then the way that it's unfolding during the race weekend is Thursday is what I call PR day. So this is the opportunity that we have at the track when the drivers are not actually required to be in the car, to get as many interview opportunities, photo opportunities with them. So you want to ensure also that you're not only talking to the same drivers over and over again. So you have to plan ahead and throughout the season to make sure that everyone is happy and everyone has a little bit of spotlight as well. So it's a very long day. There's a lot of walking around. There's a lot of thinking on your feet as well. There's a lot of chasing the drivers because, well, not all of them are on time, or some of them can get lost. And then from Friday to Sunday, it's the job revolves around the sessions. So it is writing the reports, making them available on the website, getting the results on the website, sending quotes to the media, getting the drivers to the press conferences, getting the photos done. It's a lot of teeny tiny jobs, but that need to be done in order to get the information across the fans and across the media. So if I were to describe a day, I would say, look, you get to the track very early and you leave hopefully by 10 p.m. if it's a good day. So other than that, it's just making sure that you're ready for everything and that you can adapt to any situation. So if you know exactly what needs to be done by the book, then they can throw anything at you, and then you can add them to the list of things that you have to do.
So is that a role? Do you do all of that yourself? Are you part of a team? And if you're part of a team, how big is your team?
So no, I have a team. So it's two parts. So I have a press officer who's working with me. I have a content editor who's also working with me. And I have my graphic designer who's not at the track, but is working remotely. On the side, on top of that, there's the digital team. That's something that was put in place back in 2018. So it's a wonderful group of people who are working remotely and taking care of all digital platforms. So from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram to YouTube, and they all day long they keep on feeding those platforms with either information or short clips or photos. So they are working on their own, but we keep in contact, especially if something specific happens during the sessions, and I think, oh, we shouldn't promote that, or we shouldn't put anything. So I just, I tell them not to, or if they're unsure about something that they want to post, they clarify it with me. But other than that, they are a wonderful group of people and they're working on their own. I fully trust them to do the job.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. So when COVID hit, did that make any major differences to yourself? Because obviously you were still staying in the paddock, you were still operating as normal. And if it did affect anything, how did it affect anything? And maybe in a positive way, has COVID affected your role in a good way?
Well, first of all, when everything was on hold, we had to imagine what we should do to still build up a season, still keep everyone interested, and that was the fans, the media, but also the drivers. So we decided to hop on the esport train and see how we could do some F2 racing, virtual racing. So that was a big part of what we had to do before we could get back to racing safely. And then it was when we got back to the track, the fact that there's this COVID-19 protocol that is absolutely necessary. It's very strict, but it's extremely effective and has actually allowed us to go back to racing. So that's a fantastic thing. The downside of it is that we have to work with bubbles. So you're assigned to a bubble and you shouldn't step out of your bubble. Obviously, with what I do, I cross bubbles, but as safely as I can, because obviously, you know, I'm in contact with the drivers, so I cannot just be in front of a laptop. No, I have to take them from point A to point B. So it's just making sure that we keep the distance and everything is done in a very safe manner. But that also means that we couldn't get the media to our paddock. We could get 2 photographers inside of our paddock. So one, which is from Getty, because we're working with Getty Images, and another one who covers the majority of the teams and the drivers. And then we had 5 more on-track photographers who were allowed to work from the F1 Media Center, but would never come close to our paddock. So we could get some on-track photos. But then when it comes to written media, we do not have the capacity to have them come safely inside our paddock. We do not have a media center inside our paddock. So to allow fairness, we could host them inside the F1 Media Center. But the added value for them to actually go there, they would have to work remotely from the F1 Media Center solely without any sort of access. So not many of them actually said, yeah, okay, I'll come. Because apart from getting the experience of what it is like to work from the F1 Media Center with no human contact with, you know, the support paddock, they could do their job remotely from home and spend less money as well, you know, because traveling costs money. So that didn't really make sense. So it was our job then to ensure that we would help the media get as much information as they could, even if they weren't there. So thanks to F1 and the FIA, who had organized a Zoom session for the press conference for F1, then we could actually take the technology and the system that was in place to ensure that we could get our press conferences going and have our media attend those press conferences. And it's funny because they were extremely popular, and they were never that popular when, you know, people were on site. They wouldn't take the time to come to the press conferences. Ours last year were half an hour long, many questions. I was like, yeah, well, let's keep that going. That's really good.
Yeah, that's definitely a great positive, you know,
Yeah.
to come out of such a tragic year, you know, for many around the world, and a very difficult year for many around the world as well. And obviously we know that you travel to every race. So Lucy, when you started your role, were you traveling to every race as well, or is there a mix, or do you stay at the office back in London?
No, not to every race. I think in 2019 I probably did 4. So I would travel to a race where a partnership or an event or an experience that I was working on was activating at that race. But we have, as a wider part of our team, we have team members that are more, they concentrate more on the operational side and also the customer relationship side with all of the teams, the partners and sponsors. So they are the ones that tend to travel to all of the races. But in my previous role, when I worked for an event company, yes, I think I was doing around 16 races a year for 13 years. So and I love it, but I've done
it. So when you were going to races, what exactly were you doing? Were you hands-on? Were you face-to-face with the guests?
So in my role now, it was more depending on the activation and the partnership that was taking place. So it was kind of overseeing that really. And for me, I've been in Formula One, as I said, for a very long time, 15 years. And the role that I was in before, we were in the Paddock Club a lot, but I was from the other side. So I was with a sponsor, and we would have our own private lounge, and we looked after guests. So you feel like you know the Paddock Club very well, because I've been going for 13 years, to like almost all of the races. And then all of a sudden you step into, you're part of the rights holders and you're in a new role. And for me, it was really interesting actually going to the race in a different role with a fresh pair of eyes and kind of seeing the wider picture. Because I think when you're working with a sponsor and a team, you're very, you're focused on that, your private lounge, what they can do. You understand all the amazing experiences and locations and everything that's on offer. But it's very different all of a sudden to then work for the Paddock Club. And, I was in a very different role. I'm looking at how we can, create new business partnerships and opportunities, and how can we better the experience.
Yeah, and Alexa, we've got Elena asking that, is there a Paddock Club or something similar for Formula 2 and Formula 3?
No, we piggyback on F1 Paddock Club.
You're always welcome, Alexa.
Thank you. No. What you have to look at is F1 Paddock, very glamorous, a lot of facilities, wonderful. And then you've got the support paddock, very wholesome, very 90s vibes, where, for instance, there's no individual catering for the F2 teams or F3 teams. There's one global catering for everyone to have lunch and dinners together. So pre-COVID, you would see drivers at the same time eating together. A few years back, it was all about the Brazilian table, and then the Italian table, and then the Spanish table. And then you should see when there's the World Cup and everyone is just shouting at each other or making fun. So, we pre-COVID, we mix and we have that, but our space is very small compared to F1, which is completely normal. So we wouldn't have the capacity to do a Paddock Club. Having said that, in the recent years, we've really tried to work as close as possible with the F1 Paddock Club to bring some of the guests into our paddock to ensure that, they get that experience as well. And because sometimes, with the Formula One teams, you cannot get as close as you would like. Whereas with us, we're like, yeah, come to us. Yeah, just have a look and come and spend some time with us. And we just love showing you the cars and having the drivers come and talk to you. And, we're like happy puppies when that happens. So we really try to work organically.
Is that sort of strictly Paddock Club guests, or is that anyone that maybe signs up to the Formula One experience, or is that other fans from other areas of the track? Is there a way for fans to have that access, or is it just Paddock Club guests?
Well, it also depends on the promoters of where we're going. So, sometimes they will request that because I don't know, they did a game before when they were selling the tickets, and they said, okay, if you are in the top 10 of whatever, then you could come and get the experience to see what the support paddock is. A couple of years ago, on the Thursday for the French Grand Prix, they had classes of young students who were invited to come to the track, and they were just outside of our paddock, and they were cheering on. I think it was Campos who was doing pit stop practice, and I thought, okay, well, this is too good. So I just went to talk to security, and I got them inside. And then when they came back out, other schools came to me and said, oh, can I do that? So I spent 3 hours in and out with kids all day. So it's also a little bit of opportunity as well, and you just make the most of it. So, yeah.
That sounds amazing, because one of the questions I was also going to ask is how Formula 2 and Formula 3 does connect with fans, and that sort of questions on maybe a virtual platform level, and also on a physical level as well. So you've kind of answered the physical level side, but on a virtual level, how do you reach the fans and what platforms do you use?
A lot of it is done by the wonderful digital team who really try to engage with the fans through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and they really listen to what the fans are wishing to see, and you know, they try to interact as much as possible with the fans and engage with them. So you know, it's not something that is unheard of. A lot of championships are doing it, and we're trying to do it as well, as best as we can, and have the appropriate tone when we do it. But it's so rewarding when you see fans wanting to interact with us, and to see the passion behind it, and sometimes the naivete that they have, because they see something on TV and then they imagine what it is, and then you just remember what it was like for you back in the years, and you just want to treasure that, and you know, be there for them as best as you can.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, if that's okay, about, you know, the relationships that you form. But while we're on that sort of subject of the virtual world, I was going to come back to Lucy and just ask, you know, your role has obviously changed in the last months because of COVID. So how are you bringing that Paddock Club experience now to your guests?
Well, it's an ongoing project, and I think as hospitality and the Paddock Club opens, the virtual Paddock Club will show off more of the Paddock Club. But obviously last year we were doing the virtual Paddock Club, but the Paddock Club wasn't open. So it was a way for us to keep our partners, clients, guests engaged in the sport through this new partnership with Zoom. And we would show off experiences that were similar to what guests can experience in the Paddock Club. So although it wasn't in the Paddock Club, so we would do a paddock tour. So when the guests come to the paddock, you know, they get to go down into the paddock and have a look around, do a bit of driver spotting. So we would always do a paddock tour and try and do it at the right time, so lots of drivers would come past. We have an experience that's called the track tour, or the truck tour, which sounds pretty naff because it's got the word truck in it, but it's incredible. It's like a flatbed truck, unfortunately. I don't know any other word for it. A bit like what the drivers do their parades on. And the guests get to go on this and they get a lap of the circuit. But we have a group of wonderful guys and girls called expert hosts, who are all previous drivers in some shape or form. So they know what they're talking about. And they narrate and give a narrated experience of the circuit. So they'll go past certain corners and stop and explain. Obviously the trucks weren't really there because we weren't operating the Paddock Club. So we put our own spin on it. Sometimes we would go around in a car and do it. Other times we would do pre-recorded content. And, you know, the team would stop at certain elements of the corner and just explain, you know, this is quite an important part of the circuit. Or this is a part of the circuit where something happened in qualifying, for example. So we would try and bring in experiences. We have, in the Paddock Club, we have driver appearances. So we would work with the teams. And we had, and I worked with Alexa, she's giving me a little yay. So we had some F1 drivers and of course an F2 driver from Alexa. We had the wonderful Mick Schumacher after he won the championship. So we did some driver appearances. We brought an F1 legend in. So we had Mika Hakkinen, Damon Hill. And actually it was really interesting. I think at the beginning, I don't know, maybe even a year ago, you know, speak about trying to do a hospitality experience virtually, we would probably be like, maybe not, you know. For us, it was all about being there and experiencing it in person. I mean, you can't beat that. The virtual Paddock Club is never going to replace the Paddock Club. But actually, it was a really big success. And I think we learned that some things work better digitally. So there's moments where drivers are actually much more relaxed in front of, not like myself, but some are more relaxed in front of the laptop screen or in front of the camera, and find it much more relaxing. We had one moment where we knew Mika Hakkinen was joining us, but we didn't know that he was going to join us from his car garage. And all of a sudden he pops up and he's in his garage, and he's showing us around all of his different cars. He's got things on the ceiling, he's got passes, pictures, signed memorabilia everywhere. Brilliant. So
absolutely, I mean, that is an amazing experience. Without you,
I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough experience. I all of a sudden became a producer of a show that I had never done before. And as you could probably tell from the mute at the beginning, I'm not particularly great on tech either. So all of a sudden you're thrown into this, but what I do have experience in and confidence is actually pulling an event together. So I think my previous role really helped in this new kind of era of the digital world. So yeah, it was an experience. We got there.
You exactly did. What a success. We're definitely going to touch on producing shows in a short while. I think we need more than an hour, girls. I don't know about you, but we're getting so many questions coming in, and I do thank you so much for them and your comments as well. So please keep them coming. But first of all, we've got a shout out from Natalia, who has just said it's a compliment for you, Alexa, to say that she adores the promotional work that's been done in Formula 2 and Formula 3, and it's really put both of the series on the map, and I would 100% categorically agree with her. Getting involved myself 12 months ago, and seeing those esports, those races, and actually starting to report on those races as though they were a real race, the sim races that went ahead. And what was amazing, what was fantastic at the time, and I think Natalia would probably agree, is not just getting to know the Formula 2 drivers more so, but the Formula 3 drivers as well, that are obviously in the next series down, because they were obviously racing too. So we were getting to know names in Formula 3, and now they're stepping up into Formula 2, some of them. These are names now that I recognize myself. It's like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. He was sim racing last year, which is fantastic. So thank you for that compliment. We do get a lot of questions like this. We've been getting them throughout the series of what qualifications, what advice can you give us? So we've got Wendy asking, Valeria asking, so many others asking the same question. How do I apply for a job? How do I stand out? So is it about standing out? Is it about personality? Is it about qualifications, experience? And I'll come to you first, Lucy, for your particular area of promotions, because we're getting questions about promotions as well, and hospitality.
It's a tough one, because I have a degree. I have a business studies degree, which, don't get me wrong, comes in very helpful, especially in the commercial side. But I think it's a mix of everything that you said. I think it's personality, experience. It depends kind of where you want to go. My role's quite diverse, I guess. I work in the hospitality department, but also looking at like new business development. And I come from an event background, and also within the role that I do, I manage events and have, now created a new product, which is a very kind of event schedule, kind of admin heavy. So I just think that's such a tough question to answer. If you're looking to go kind of like into hospitality and events, I would say get out there, work in any industry in the hospitality industry that you can, whether it's a bar, a restaurant, an event, whether it's I can't remember what it's called. Signing up to do voluntary work. That's it. Voluntary work at different events. get in there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. You know, because I got carried away with introducing you guys and introducing everybody in the chat, and I did neglected myself a little bit there at the beginning. And you know, and I can sort of add to that by some of the experience I've personally had within football clubs, and that's Premier League clubs and Championship clubs, that was combined with hospitality, because a lot of my background is customer service, and it was fantastic to combine those two careers together with something I'm so passionate about as well. And so for those people that don't necessarily live near a racetrack or near anything to do with motorsport, if you're passionate about other sports, then there must be something in your area that, you know, people can actually start volunteering at. And I actually put myself forward. I called up a club at one point and I said to them, you know, look, there's this kind of role, you know, that I've been doing, and do you have anything like that at your club? And they said no, but why don't you come in for a chat? And then this role was actually created and developed around me and around this idea that I had, you know. And I spent a full season with this particular football club, and the first day none of us really kind of knew what was going on at the time and what I was actually going to contribute. But within that first day, that first football match, that first session, I was in the executive club boxes, and I could see the potential, the development straight away. And sometimes, you know, you have an idea and just go up to somebody and I'll call them or email them. And in the same vein, Alexa, how about for you with qualifications, skills? You know, what are you particularly looking for?
Well, you know what? You should ask Katie McGuinness, who's on the call right now, whom I've just hired as my press officer. Hi, Katie. Sorry, I was looking through all of your faces and your names, and I see her. So
we'll have a look at that, and we'll have a look at people in a minute and wave, give them a shout out.
So, what do I look for? Like Lucy says, it's a hard one, because first of all, I'm looking for skills, because you need someone who's really strong in what they do, because it's a tough environment. It's always evolving and it goes very fast. So if you're not sure of your skills, then you're going to crumble. So I'm looking for someone who knows exactly how to do stuff, what needs to be done. If you don't know how, if you have the skills, then you can learn the environment, then you can learn how to raise your skills to the proper level. But that's first and foremost what I'm looking for. And then we are, you know, a small family traveling across the world. So we spend a lot of time together. We're a very small team because we're maybe on site. So you've got our CEO, Bruno Michel, our PA, Barbara. You've got Marco Codello, who's the Director of Operations. You've got Didier Perrin, who's the Technical Director. Myself, so far, well, with COVID now, I'm going to have only one person per event. So it's the two of us. And then you've got 3 people for spare parts. And that's it. And then you've got the catering team who are not traveling with us. So you want someone who clicks with the team, who will not be afraid to be with people who have been together for a long time, and you know, who will remain humble and who will be a hard worker, who will not be afraid to have their own voice and to you know, say when they don't agree and try to, you know, argue and you know, also listen to the more experienced people. So that's what I'm looking for. And then not necessarily someone who's completely crazy about Formula One, but someone who loves PR, loves communication.
Okay, well, we have actually been joined by Katie.
Hi.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Apologies for hijacking. I was just trying to say hello to everyone. But yes, I've just joined Alexa on her team, and like she said, I come from a PR background. I absolutely adore PR, and I've loved motorsport for a long time. So I'm very grateful to be joining such a wonderful team.
She starts on March 1st. So right now she's happy.
Oh, I think you're making a lot of people very jealous on this call, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did this come about for you? How did you get to this point yourself, Katie?
So I've actually been in PR for 5 years. I've been working in agencies and kind of like yourself, you know, motorsport has always been a really, really big passion of mine. I grew up watching it. So it's always something that I've been really interested in, but sort of not worked in my everyday role. And kind of like yourself, you know, it came about through a passion and a skill set. And I'm so grateful to be able to combine the two of those. And be joining Alexa on her team doing something I absolutely adore, which is PR in a sport that I absolutely love and have done for sort of, well, over a decade now. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky and grateful to be joining the team.
I'm very grateful to you as well for agreeing to this and just jumping on there. You know, and that sort of begs the question, Alexa, of you know, are you looking to expand your team at any point, make your team bigger, or just put a little bit? Is it very busy? You need more people? You know, how is this season looking for you?
You always, you know, if ideally you would always want more people, but in the fact that you're a small team actually pushes you to always be the best and do the job, and you always feel like you're hitting a wall and that you cannot do more, and then you realize that it was just a hurdle on the path to doing more. And the bigger a team gets, maybe sometimes it could also means that things are a little bit less efficient. So if you're a tight-knit, very efficient team, then you get things done. And there's, like I was saying, that you need the sense of being a family, so you're in it together. And yeah, maybe sometimes things are not for you to do per your job description, but it's okay. You need all hands on deck. You go and you do it, and you think on your feet. So no, we're not looking at expanding the team at the moment.
Okay, and Lucy, maybe a similar question for you as well, because this season looks like it's going to be quite a mix-up of probably initially still the same as last year with closed doors. There may be some races replaced, we're not quite sure yet. There's going to be hopefully open doors come Silverstone, so there may be the physical Paddock Club back, you've got the virtual Paddock Club. So how does that role look for you as you go forward, and will you be looking to expand your team at any point?
Looks terrifying. No, I'm joking. It looks busy, very, very busy. And gosh, yes, I would absolutely love, I think, same as Alexa, you speak to anybody in this industry and probably most industries, would you like to have additional support? Of course. But I think at the moment, moving forward, probably not. So no, we're not currently recruiting, but I think best place to keep an eye out is LinkedIn, the F1 LinkedIn page. All job posts get posted on there.
Absolutely. I just want to give a sort of a 10-minute warning to the official end of the session. And so if there's any more pressing questions or comments, please add them in and we will try to fit them in. But also if you are going to join, well, not if, when you join the FIA Girls on Track Facebook group, there's a big community there, and hopefully you might get some of your questions answered there too if you can't get them answered tonight. And we are going to extend a little bit as well, because there are just so many questions coming in, and I think you have to agree that this chat tonight is absolutely amazing, and I can't even get my questions in, let alone everybody else's. So I'm going to be as quick as I can, because I really do want to talk about this producer role, Alexa, because we want to talk about chasing the dream. And I want you to just tell everybody about it and what it is, if they don't already know.
Well, if you don't already know, that means that I haven't done my job properly. So I hope that you do. So basically, when Netflix launched Drive to Survive, which is a documentary about Formula One, our CEO Bruno Michel was very excited about it and jumped on the conclusion that we should do something about Formula 2. At the moment, it's just Formula 2. It's already a big job. So that was, I don't know, a couple of months before before the start of the 2019 season. And he has this idea, and then we need to make it happen, right? So because we have a very tight relationship with the producers of Formula One, Dean Locke and Wendy Hendricks, she wasn't there last year, but I know that she was one of the guests on this webinar. So they produce all of our sessions and all of the shows. So we turned to them and said, okay, we have this crazy idea. What can we do? How can we organize it? And we started talking and building what we thought would be a good starting point. And basically, I think 3 days before the first race in Bahrain in 2019, Rory Child, who has become the documentary director for Chasing the Dream, he was sent on a plane with a camera, and we didn't have the budget completely okayed. We just said, okay, just take some images, try and produce something. We're going to show it to the powers above, and then we see if we can move on. So that's how it started. We had a full idea of what we wanted for season 1. Unfortunately, due to the tragic events in Spa, we couldn't deliver exactly what we wanted, because we had to take that first and foremost into consideration when building the first season. And the idea behind Chasing the Dream is trying to bring the viewer behind the scenes, behind the visor of the drivers. Who are these guys? Who are those crazy guys just sitting in a very small cockpit and driving at crazy speed, chasing the dream of being a driver in Formula One? What sacrifice does it take? What level of dedication? What is their background? Showing that we are truly an international platform at the same time whilst promoting F2 throughout their stories. So that's what we've been doing.
I have to say that I've been absolutely mesmerized by it, and you know, hopefully you have all watched it, but if you haven't, season 1 is currently on Sky, available on Sky, and season 2 is available through the Formula One YouTube channel, so subscribe to that.
F1 TV.
F1, I'm so sorry, F1 TV. It's my bad, it's my mistake, it's my terminology. I need to get with the program. Yeah, so F1 TV, so if you subscribe to that, then that's obviously fantastic, in a way you can find that Chasing the Dream, which is an absolute fly on the wall. And you know, and I love the beginning, you know, with Marcus and with Callum, you know, their little house, and you know, Marcus is getting very distracted there for a second, trying to put the TV on, and you know, and Callum's saying, you know, you have an interview to do, which is just perfect fly on the wall, because it's very candid, and obviously that first season is very touching and very moving, and season 2, you know, I kind of enjoyed from a perspective of, you know, we have the return of Juan Manuel Correa, who's returning into Formula 3 this season, and I cannot wait, you know, to see him back in that car, you know, obviously after you know what happened. So because of that program, of the whole series, which is absolutely excellent, is there going to be a season 3?
Yes.
Please.
Breaking news.
Yeah,
yes. We you know, we didn't start doing this to say, okay, well, we try and that's it. No. It's there, and it's there to stay, and we want to still improve on season 2. I think that season 2, well, season 1 was one product. So season 2, we could really do what we wanted with, which is themes. All right, a little bit like Drive to Survive, but keep it chronologically, because we have less of a wide audience than Formula One. So you want to tell that story, but we still want to improve on that. We want to give more room for those in-depth feature on all the drivers. So yeah, it will be.
I just want to thank Katie, by the way, who we've just lost a little bit, but yeah, I just wanted to thank Katie for joining us very briefly there too. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to season 3. Absolutely, I actually feel like it wasn't just behind the visor. That what I got from it was actually quite emotional and quite touching, even in a great fun kind of way to meet the drivers. And from my point of view, I could see the bonds that are developed between yourself and the drivers. And I just want to touch really, really quickly on that, because you seem very close to all of them, and that comes across as a really beautiful, amazing relationship. And how do you feel, when they graduate out of Formula 2, how do you feel? Do you feel very proud of them?
We do spend a lot of time with them, and because they have to do what I ask them to do, there's a sort of understanding that we need to respect each other first and foremost. So you respect what I do, I respect what you do, and we go from there. And then there are some drivers will leave a mark because, well, first of all, if they're always in the top 3 and you spend every weekend twice per day with them, well, then, they sort of become your F2 family. But and other drivers, leave less of a mark because maybe they are not as forward as others, or they don't have the same sort of results, unfortunately, so you spend less time with them. But all in all, I am in awe of whatever the result. I am absolutely in awe of what they're doing, and it's just so difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're very lucky to be doing what they're doing. Okay, and it's a dream for them to be doing that. So don't get me wrong with that, but the level of dedication that they have to put to get to that level of motor racing is really something. It's really something, and I will always respect what they do, and I will always respect that they get sometimes extremely angry at themselves, and that they need to have a little bit of quiet or downtime. And I feel very lucky that I can see them bloom and blossom into sometimes Formula 1 drivers and sometimes successful drivers in different categories as well. So
okay, sounds great. I'm going to do a slight shift now, because the reason behind these sessions are for women in motorsport, and I want to just touch on the diversity of women and encouraging more women into motorsport. And Lucy, I want to come to you, and I kind of want to touch very, very briefly, if we can, on your actual background, because you have quite a sporty background yourself, and then, sort of getting to where you are today, and then the women. Do you have many women in your team? Are there enough women in Formula 1? Do we need more? Of course we need more. I know the answer to that question, but the question's for you. So try and let us know first of all your background in the sport.
Okay, so I joined an event agency. I was actually very lucky. My sister worked for this event agency. So I was at university, she joined an event agency. I was like, she's the coolest sister in the world. Sorry if my other sister's watching, you're also very cool, but you're the coolest sister in the world. She's got this amazing job in Formula 1, really rather jealous at university. And one day she calls me and she says, Lucy, we're doing an event at Silverstone F1 and we need some freelancers. Would you like to come and help? Of course I would. Yes, please. So I went and I totally fell in love with it, totally fell in love with it. I begged the boss at the time to take me on as a more permanent freelancer, which she did. So I freelanced for probably about 3 or 4 years. Every time I would email her, I would change like my signature of my email address and pretend that I worked for her. This is quite sad, but I loved it that much. I was desperate for a job with her. And then one day I was offered a full-time job. So I worked with her for 13 or 14 years, which I loved. And the same as Alexa, you know, you join, you become a family. When you travel the world, you have to get on with the people that you work with. And actually we were an all-female team. My boss was female, all of my colleagues were female. And actually the last boss for the client of the agency was also a female. And so I have to say, within Formula One, when we're looking at kind of female influences on me in my career, my 3 most significant bosses within my F1 career have been female, and very, very different, the 3 of them, but absolutely phenomenal women. And I feel privileged and super lucky to have worked with them and now to be working with one as well. So no, I think for me, I don't know, I don't want to generalize, but in the event industry, sometimes it is a little bit more female orientated. So I worked in that job and I left. I'd been doing it for 13 years. I loved it, don't get me wrong, but I was just like, maybe it's time for a change. So I kind of left, no real plan. I'm not sure that's the best thing to advise, but sometimes it frees you up. And it did. And, you know, I knew my boss now, he works in the Paddock Club. He's the director of the Paddock Club. And she pulled me in for a coffee and was like, what do you think about this role? And I was like, I think it sounds great. And so here I am. So yeah, probably not the most kind of like academic route in, but I think it's quite a good story for me. It's a kind of use the people that you know. If you know anybody that works in sport or hospitality or the industry that you want to work in, pester them, get a job, even, you know, if it's voluntary, get in there, get a foot in the door and meet people. And remember, whatever you're doing.
I'm going to pester you and Alexa in the next couple of weeks, so be ready for it.
Okay. Sending to see me. So yeah, I think for me it's networking as well. It's all about, I didn't realize how many people I knew in Formula One. It sounds mad. After working in the industry for 13 years, I didn't realize how many people I knew until I left, which sounds mental, but it's true. And, you know, I didn't realize, I guess, the impact that I'd had on my now boss, for her to kind of pull me in and, you know, have a chat. And for her, you forget when you work for a client, you're so focused on pleasing that client. But actually people around you are seeing what you can do and what you're capable of, and the relationships that you have. And so I think, yeah, I don't know if any of that made sense. I really hope it did. If not, please contact me on LinkedIn.
I just have to mention really quickly though that we have just passed the half-past mark, so that means that some people might be leaving us because they have to, and it's been absolutely wonderful for you to have joined us. I hope that you know, you can stay on a little bit longer while we still have lots more questions for Alexa and Lucy, but if you do have to leave, you know, the links will be posted in the chat for you to join all of the social media groups that we've been telling you about every single night. So join the community and you know, hook up with us and find us and LinkedIn with us. So you know, our people are okay to connect with you on LinkedIn, Lucy.
Absolutely.
And how about you, Alexa?
I'm really bad on LinkedIn, but please do. I'm trying to get better. I promise. But yeah, do not hesitate ever. Even I've joined the Facebook Girls on Track community as well. So if you ever want to ask questions there, I'm happy to try and reply at best. You know, there. So don't hesitate.
Yeah. Sounds good. So just as people I might have to leave us, we do want to do say a thank you to Motorsport UK and Formula One, and also Girls on Track. But hopefully everybody's staying. You're still here, right? I can see you. So Alexa, it's kind of the same question to you really about the diversity and how Formula 2, Formula 3 has opportunities for women, or they're looking for more opportunities for women in the paddock, to get those percentages up a little bit.
Well, diversity is always a good thing, where whatever the environment. It is true that we're not that many in the F2, F3 paddock. I think last time that I counted, and that was pre-Katie, it was something along the lines of 12. So it's not that many. And out of them, we have one engineer and one mechanic. And I think that when it comes to PR and logistics and jobs like that, then it's easier for women to, reach motorsport. But it shouldn't be something that we shouldn't be just represented in those roles, and it would be really good, and we're so proud every time that we have a woman who's doing what is considered as a male job. So when we have those women engineers and women mechanics, we're very, very proud, and this is something I would like to push. But as far as I'm concerned, I never judge people by their gender or their origins. The fact that I've hired Katie, who is a wonderful young woman, I wasn't looking particularly for a woman. I was looking for someone, who knew how to do the job. And I think this is what you should take with you, is that you should always be the best version of yourself. You want to do something good, but be the best. Okay? So that you're a woman shouldn't be an issue. You're trying to get to a point where you're the best version of yourself. And if it's not enough to get what you want, where can you improve? How can you improve? How can you actually get to that place that you're looking for? And you should never be stopped because you're female or, male to work in PR, by the way.
Yeah, I think that it's very important to have an ultimate dream, and to maybe have an image of yourself where you would like to be, and then obviously that's the road, that's and so what is your first step, and that's the message to the ladies and the gentlemen watching tonight. What is your first step going to be tomorrow when you wake up? You're not going to walk into a paddock tomorrow or walk into Biggin Hill tomorrow and just sit at a desk and say, right, I work for Formula One or Formula 2. So how is it you're going to get there? What's your plan? What are your qualifications and skills, or what do you need to do to maybe have them, or to gain that experience? And we'll come to you as well, Lucy, because I'm not sure if you're jotting notes down because you want to contribute to this little bit, or something else you'd like to say before we wrap up.
Or was it an open question?
Well, kind of.
That put me on the spot. Thanks, LA. Thought we were friends.
We're great friends.
I think just to, I know I've joined a lot of these calls and I see a lot of the questions, and I'm sorry if I haven't got to some of them. Like I said, please message me on LinkedIn and I'll give you the best advice I possibly can. But I think
don't forget, let me just throw in, don't forget these Lucy, Alexa, such busy ladies, so don't be offended and hurt if they don't respond to you within 10 minutes or whatever. So sorry, Lucy, I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, that's okay.
We're supposed to answer something, sorry.
Alexa said she'll answer any questions on my behalf.
No. She did, I'm a witness to that.
But I think just to reflect what Alexa said, girls and guys, whatever you do, take pride in it. And I mean anything, whether it's an email you send, whether it's a conversation you're having with somebody, even if you think it's a tiny piece of work, put pride into it. Be proud of what you've done. And as Alexa said, whatever you do it brilliantly. It doesn't matter what it is, just everything you do, do it brilliantly, and I'm pretty sure you will succeed. And yeah, just try and find the right steps. Everybody's path into this industry is very different. And I guess it depends on what your end role is. But I think if you've got enough determination and enough passion and enough get up and go, I'm pretty sure, you'll find your way.
Totally agree with you. Talking about passion, the last sort of big question really before we do wrap everything up and let everybody go, and I'll go to Alexa first. So who is your favorite Formula One team driver and track?
Oh God, I've not come prepared. Driver, okay, because this I prepared. Driver. I'm French, okay? So obviously, watching Formula One in the 80s, 90s, I had to be Alain Prost fan, right? Happy birthday, by the way. And then I had a crush, because yes, I was young once, on Jacques Villeneuve. So let's move.
I did as well. I was going to marry him.
I no, it was just a crush for me. I didn't think that far. So past that awkward phase, the one driver that really made me come back to the races was Juan Pablo Montoya, because something was happening every time that you would see him on TV. Something was happening, and he was so exciting. But now my one true favorite driver is Lewis Hamilton, because find someone who's better than him. I'm really looking forward to him getting that 8th crown, and he brings so much of Formula One as a driver, fine, but what he brings from the outside, which is his passion about music, fashion, and he's got a voice, and he uses it so brightly and brilliantly, and he understands that he's an ambassador, and I'm in awe, and I just think that he's the most complete Formula One driver to date.
And what about your circuit?
Yeah, I was trying to think about that. Lucy, you want to jump in while I'm thinking?
So I think for me, old school, maybe a bit sensitive, but for me, Michael Schumacher. And probably more currently, I would say George Russell. I'm just willing him on.
My Georgie.
In every single sense. When it comes to a team, I mean, we don't have favourite teams at Formula One. But if I did have one, maybe, it would probably be Ferrari. It was the team that I worked with all of those years. So they're kind of in my blood a little bit. But I have to say, we don't have favourite teams in Formula One. Circuit, I'm sorry, but mine would have to be on a hospitality basis. And I think one of the most incredible hospitalities that we do is in Mexico. The Paddock Club there is outstanding.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
So, sorry, that's
there.
mine.
I think I'm going to pick Monza for many reasons. First of all, because the racing there for F2 and F3, and some F1 as well, it's so fantastic. When we have the spectators on site, it's absolutely brilliant. Having to cross the sea of fans every time that we go from the car park to our paddock, or when we leave the pit lane to go to our paddock, there's an atmosphere that's absolutely brilliant. So I'm gonna have to say Monza. Yeah. F1 team, I don't know. I'm F2, F3, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not going to put you on the spot with that. It's okay, don't worry. So this is it. We've come to an end. We have overrun so much, and I'm so grateful to everybody for staying behind and sticking with this, because I have hundreds of questions still, and you guys in the chat do as well. And I am so sorry we couldn't get through all of them, but hopefully we've answered a lot of them, and this has inspired you. So thank you to my two guests, to Alexa and to Lucy, first of all. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I've just seen how we can see the messages. Yeah, I'm showing my age, right? Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Look, you guys, LinkedIn, Twitter, find me. I'll try and answer.
Oh, don't worry about it. Well, yeah, so thank you to the ladies. Thank you to Formula One and Formula One's Charisma Mitra for being the organizer behind this, for being and even for asking me, Jenny Morse for asking, and Claire Kirkpatrick from Motorsport UK, and also their CEO Hugh Chambers. And you can find all of these recordings on Motorsport UK's YouTube channel, and you can also go on the Girls on Track UK Facebook group to find all of the links there. Charisma is hopefully posting links as well. Don't forget there's Instagram and Twitter for all the 3 collaborators as well. So, you know, join everybody on there, find us all on LinkedIn. Hopefully we'll all hook up and see each other one day in that paddock or at Biggin Hill or in the other Formula One offices. There will be that survey, don't forget. It'd be wonderful if you could fill out that survey just so we can have an idea and maybe pursue more of these in the future. I do know that Motorsport UK are going to be putting more webinars on in their own right, but of course we'd love the collaboration too, because it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you to all the guests that have come along to these shows every single night, and for your time and for your wisdom and for your insight, because I personally have learned so much over the past 4 weeks. Thank you to my guests, as I've just said, Alexa Quintin and Lucy Anthony, and also Lucy being behind the scenes there for the last few weeks. And thank you to the other hosts, you know, as Charisma said at the beginning, Rosanna Tennant, Amy Martin, Helena Hicks, and we've got the Driven Biodiversity girls, Stephanie Turner and Ariana Bravo. So thank you to you. But thank you for registering, and thank you for your interest. And thank you. I'm going to thank Annette right there, because Annette has smiled throughout the last 4 weeks, and she's made me so happy smiling, as happy as Graham has done with his background. So thank you so much as well. And I do hope this has inspired you, and I do tap any of us on the shoulder if you see us in the future and say, you know, I sat there and I watched you on these sessions and I was inspired to pursue my career. And you know what, take that leap of faith, take it in yourself, and I wish you the best of luck in the future. And thank you so much. And that's goodbye from me from LA Wilshaw, and we'll see you soon.